Hello, everyone. How are you? Hopefully, every one of you is doing just fine. Today, I'll try to give you a class that we couldn't have in the UPN classrooms. And to do so, voila, I have my magic little board. And over here, I will give you the topic for today. You ready for this? Leadership. That was envelope number 9. And the idea is that we may think about what is a leader. I want to show you something. I am going to show you what is in this and think a little bit about what you see this lady is doing. Look at the photograph, pay attention, and tell me, well, not tell me, but tell yourself, what do you think this lady is doing? Because we're introducing this new subject about leaders. Who is a leader? And what makes a leader, right? So if you see this photograph closely and you try to think what she's doing, you're going to come to the right conclusion that what she's doing is leading precisely. See that, right? She's in the center and she's surrounded by a lot of people there. And what do you think she's doing? She's talking. And what do you think the other guys are doing? They're paying attention. They are listening. This is exactly what a leader does. A leader leads, talks, speaks. In the meantime, someone else is paying attention. So this is very important because you have to understand that part of being a leader is this: giving instructions, telling people what to do, what not to do, right? And there are other people that they need to know, as them here, they need to know what to do, how to do things. But in order to understand this, what to do, what not to do, where to go, where not to go, we need someone like her that might give in instructions, directions, followings. I mean, things that must be done. That's part of being a leader, which is very important. But, right, what is next is that I would like to introduce to you what a famous magazine. Let me show you a photograph. I have it right here. Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Maybe some of you might know. Look at it. Look at him very closely. Do you know who is he? This is a very famous man in the world. And he is in the cover of a famous magazine in the world. The name of the magazine is Forbes. This is not a common magazine that people commonly buy. Forbes is a magazine for millionaires, for people that we know them as rich in the world, rich people that they do business in the world, like him. Who is he? Bill Gates. So what is Bill Gates doing in the cover of this magazine Forbes? Well, because he's a leader of the business world. And he is one of the top leaders that generate more money than many other people in the world. If you read it here, it says the world's 70 most powerful people, right? Because they're entrepreneurs. They they do many things that right, put them in the top. He is the creator of very famous enterprise, which is Microsoft. He was the founder, well, co-founder and then founder of Microsoft, and that's why he's in Forbes in the cover of it. But let's be honest, right? Not everyone is going to be in magazines like this. But I don't know if you knew this. We have also a magazine which is Forbes at the level of Latin America. And here, I remember that recently I was in the supermarket and I was picking one of these magazines from the supermarket, and but it was not about famous people or leaders of the world that are making money, you know, internationally speaking. We're talking about one person from Honduras that was in the cover front page of this magazine Forbes Latin America. Who was he? Right? A person that you're familiar with. His name is Rosenthal Oliva. Oh, yes. He was the guy that was in this cover magazine, Latin America, as one of the top millionaires in Latin America and the Caribbean Sea. Him. Why? Because of his many businesses. So if you see, leadership is about leading. And speaking about this magazine Forbes, I had to say something. There's a very famous article from this magazine. And in one of these articles of this magazine Forbes, there is an article that interests me for you this afternoon. And the name of this article is the 10 characteristic that makes a leader a leader. You may think about what might be the top 10 characteristics of a leader that is made a leader, a good leader, not a bad one, a good leader. So I want to give you space to think a little bit about it. What do you think might be 10 characteristics that make a good leader a leader? You can find this article in one of these magazines from Forbes, but I already have it here. And the idea of this class for you is to give you 10. And I would like to start with the first one, the very first one characteristic of a good leader that is, according to Forbes, a good leader. You may continue thinking about yours. And then you may discuss later in the chat. But I'm going to put it in my board. What is, according to Forbes magazine, the very first characteristic of a persona that, according to this magazine, is number one characteristic of a person to be a good leader? You ready for this? Do you read this? Oh, this is number one characteristic, according to Forbes, of a person that is a good leader. Say it with me. Honesty. You said it right. Is it that being honest might be important to be a good leader? According to this magazine of Forbes, indeed, yes, it is quite important to be honest if you really want to be a good leader. I think we need more of this in the world today. Don't you think so? Think about it. Honesty. Oh, yes. Are you honest? May someone that know you say that you are honest? Would you prove yourself to be honest? Because it's easy to say, yes, mister, I am an honest person. So let's say, for example, that I put in your hands 5,000 lempiras. You go and buy, and you bring back to me the receipts just to check that everything that you had, use of this money is corresponding to every receipt that you're bringing to my hands. You may say, that's quite easy, 5,000 lempiras. Okay. What about if we're not talking about 5,000 lempiras, but we're talking about 500 million lempiras in your hands? Will you handle this money with the same honesty as you did with 5,000 first? That's a very good question. Have you ever heard when people say that everyone has his price? I have to make the question to you. Do you have your price? Are you bribable? Can I buy you? Do you have a price? You may say, no, mister, I'm not. You sure about it? Well, going back to what Forbes says, right? Keep it in mind. Characteristic number one of a person who says is a leader is honesty. You right? Thank you so much. We're going to continue with the second characteristic and the second video.